Hi, I'm Kate Hahn with TV Guide Magazine and TV Insider, and we're here with Jasmin Savoy Brown to talk about that powerful episode 6 of Yellowjackets. Jasmin, thanks so much for coming on to chat.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that was the episode that we've all been promised was going to be very intense. Shauna gave birth, and your character Ty was right there at her side. Take us to set. What was it like for the cast, for all of you to shoot that scene?
Yeah, it was traumatic for a couple of reasons. One, because it's so incredibly well written that it was pretty, the word triggering for a lot of people. I think a lot of us have personal experience with pregnancies gone wrong, whether it's like someone that we love in our family or like, so it was hard in that sense. But then it was also really hard because we had to shoot it twice, because we shot the scene once and then the cameras wiped or something and we had to shoot it again, which is like your worst nightmare for any scene, but especially that scene. It wasn't every single angle, but I would say it was like 40% had to be redone. It was the worst day I've ever had on set.
So you had to reshoot it again that same day. What did you think when you heard that?
We had to reshoot it like weeks later. Like it wasn't even the same day. I think some of us cried. I'm not kidding. Because yeah, it just was so intense. But I think in the end, it's even better. It's even better than it was the first time. Or so we must believe, because otherwise we will cry ourselves to sleep every night.
Well, I cried at the end of it. I mean, it has a really heartbreaking ending. And
yeah.
there's some flips and twists in that script that we did not expect. That a lot of Shauna's experience after the birth, it turns out to be a dream sequence.
Oh my God.
When you first read the script, what
Yeah.
was your emotional reaction to that?
Well, I went on quite a journey. When at first the baby lived, I thought, no way, but great. I'm so happy for Shauna, but also panic and fear. Like, how are they going to keep this baby alive? How is she going to produce enough milk? Which obviously was addressed. Then, before knowing it was a dream, when we ate the baby, I think I threw my script. I was like, I will not do that. Absolutely not. That's my boundary. And then obviously when it's revealed that it's a dream, felt more comfortable with that. And I was heartbroken. Again, just it, brings up personal stuff, and it's so heartbreaking, but of course that's what was going to happen. There was no way this baby was ever going to survive. And I think we all knew that. And the characters knew that, but still had hope. Really sad. And everyone did such a beautiful job. I mean, Sophie and Elise did a beautiful job with this material.
Were there a lot of real tears?
Yeah.
Well, talk about working so directly with Sophie, because Ty is really her rock. What was that process for you two? Did you do a lot of rehearsal?
No, this is a cast. We don't rehearse. Like, we'll rehearse in terms of blocking, or pretty much just blocking. But I think because the material for us is often so intense, like we're always operating at a 14 on the trauma scale, that we don't want to let any of our energy out in rehearsal. So we just kind of hit the beats, and then when the cameras go, we hit the ground running. Sophie and I don't really talk much about her characters. I think because our relationship is so different from theirs, but there is some sort of magic that happens when they yell action. Like, something happens to me as an artist when I look into Sophie's eyes as Shauna, and it just all drops in. We can be really joking around between takes. They say action and we're both weeping. I don't know. It's our muses, it's our artists. They just really like to dance.
They do. And you mentioned throwing the script across the room when you read the scene where they were eating the baby, which is something everyone's been speculating, wondering if that would happen.
Oh my God, I know.
A little bit scared that it would happen. And it was really horrifying. So how hard was that to shoot?
Yeah, it was gross. It was really gross. It was a mixture of fake blood and like something that was white chunks, and they just came and like put it on our lips and our teeth and our faces. I think we had to keep the levity high that day. We're so often just joking around because, again, what we're shooting is so dark that we have to laugh between takes. So it was intense but funny. Samantha probably threw up. Samantha's always throwing up. Yeah, we got to just do our best to stay giggling.
Right. And then the other thing that's interesting about this episode is that we see Travis and Lottie make this altar by the fire during the birth sequence. And, you know, Ty isn't really into that as much at this point. But then we know later adult Ty does build altars.
Right.
So what is going to pull Ty into this wilderness cult more?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that Ty is smart. I would say smarter than Ben in that sometimes you have to play the game. Like, I think personally as a viewer, it was a really stupid move of Ben Scott to not at least pretend to participate in eating Jackie. Or I think he maybe should have had a bite or two and just pretended to chew it for a really, really, really long time. Because at a certain point in these survival situations, you have to be in the group in order to survive. And so I think Ty is smarter than him. And we'll see how that plays out.
Is he as much danger as a lot of fans are afraid he is?
As a viewer, I think so. Yeah. As a member of the team, I cannot disclose any information.
Right. Well, it did seem, though, I mean, Ty has been sort of leaning into Lottie's worship group a bit, and she did put something in Shauna's hand while Shauna was in labor. Can you share what that was? Was that something she personally made?
Right. Yeah. I think that I think, see, it's so tricky. It's hard for me even to say how much of Ty's behavior is motivated by her want to stay in the group and like trying to figure out how to stay on everyone's good graces, and how much of it is genuine fear or curiosity. Because like when they were walking back to the cabin in the snow, you know, she started doing the chanting thing. Assuming that didn't get cut out. You never know.
No, yeah, she was chanting.
Okay, she was. Yeah. So, you know, I don't think that she would do that in that moment unless she really thought it might work or would help with something. So as far as the moment between them when she put something in Shauna's hand, I think that might be her seeing like, I'll do anything to keep my friend alive. I'll do anything. I'll worship your stupid God. I'll do your stupid chants. I don't care in this moment. That's like one moment where Ty has no ego. I think most of the time she has a big ego, but in that moment, the ego is gone.
Well, she's also said that Lottie has helped her get rid of the sleepwalking and these nightmares in the wilderness, which were terrifying and almost seemed to kill her. She almost walked off a cliff. So yeah, she must have a little faith that Lottie's woo-woo stuff, as she calls it, is real.
I think so. It's so hard to say. It's so funny because I know as a person playing her, I should be so clear on everything that motivates her, but I'm honestly not. Like, often when I'm in a show like this, when we're given one script at a time and I do not know what the heck is coming, as an actor, I will make multiple choices and multiple takes, and then they can piece the story together. So when I watch it, then I'll know what her motivations were based on what take they chose.
The show is great. And the longer it goes on, the more backstory we kind of have to keep track of with your character. Yeah. And she's a really fascinating one because we've seen her as a little girl with her grandmother. Right. And we have this really creepy sort of Slender Man style character.
Yeah, what the heck is up with that? I still don't know what that's about. I'm just as in the dark as you are, Kate.
What do you like? But you as an actress, you have to pretend that you can see this character, right?
Yeah.
So what are you picturing? Are you picturing the same thing we see, or how do you get into that?
again, it's different each time. See, that's another funny thing about doing a show like this is the sleepwalking scenes we shot so out of order. So I didn't shoot the first sleepwalking scene until like one of my very last days on set. So all I just was like, I'm just as lost as Taissa. What am I looking at? I don't know. So I would do a different thing each time. Sometimes I would make it feel like I was picturing him and I was physically following him with my eyes. Other times I thought, okay, maybe he's not there. Maybe she's not seeing him and she's being pulled by something. And so I wanted it to like come from the chest and be more from within. And then I leave it to the editors and they can tell the story.
Well, they make it very creepy and mysterious. So
Okay,
we're not
good.
figuring anything else out either. Even though a lot of people really try. They slow it down and watch it frame by frame.
Tell me what you find, people, because maybe you can clue me in. I'm missing a lot of pieces myself.
Well, what's interesting is you had mentioned Ben, and we've seen some flashbacks to his life.
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
I know it's
so sad.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But because I mentioned, we've seen Ty as a child with her grandmother. Any chance we'll see more of little girl Ty? We haven't seen many of the other characters as really little girls.
Right. I hope so. At least up until this point, nothing that I am keen on, but I hope so. And I thought it would be funny. We were joking on set. Maybe season 3 they'll introduce a third cast, and it's all of the girls as toddlers, and it's just them and in daycare. Who were they at 2?
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I'm curious. Imagine a 2-year-old Misty, like she's probably killing bugs.
Oh, definitely. She captures spiders and keeps them in jars.
And she has the magnifying glass and she's like melting them. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this episode is also key because it's the first time that all these adults come together at Lottie's place. And the way adult Ty responds when Misty calls her and says, this is where I am. She just like gets her game face on and she's like, where is this place? So she seems like she really has some unfinished business with Lottie. Any thoughts on that? How they leave the wilderness together at odds, it seems.
It's so fascinating. I mean, I'm always curious when Taissa is or isn't sleepwalking. Like I wonder in some of those moments, is older Taissa, is she asleep? And God, yeah, we know nothing. I don't know how they leave the wilderness, but I have a lot of theories, and I wonder, yeah, Ty and Lottie must go head to head toward the end. Like maybe, here's one. What if there's a plane coming? They see it. It's about to land. It's all of the adults that we know survive. And then Lottie decides she wants to make one last sacrifice before they're rescued. And so she goes to like kill someone. Maybe she's like, the plane won't land unless I murder Taissa. Goes to slice her. And then she survives. I don't know. They could go so many ways.
You have thought about this very deeply.
Clearly.
Yeah. Well, you must dream about it.
Literally. I've had, oh my God, that's a whole other conversation. We all have nightmares from this show.
Do you?
Yeah, my sleep has been disturbed. Thank you, Ashley, Bart, and Jonathan, for disturbing my sleep.
Well, do you give some input to your character? Is there anything that you've brought to her, or maybe that you and Tawny have worked on together, that wasn't necessarily in the script, but that you thought this is a really important quality that Taissa needs to have?
Oh yeah, I think that we all have done that. I think that's some of the beauty of working as actors with writers. They give us so much on the page, but then they leave room for us to add our own flair, at least on the show, which I'm grateful for. Tawny and we worked together on some of Ty's physicality season 1. Liv and I will, really look at our scenes. Sometimes we ask if we can add things or change things, and they've become very flexible to that. The biggest thing that I've been fighting for Ty from the beginning is much more of an on-screen relationship with I'm forgetting the character's name, played by Nia, formerly played by Akila. Yeah, because if there's only two black girls in the woods, they would be together all the time. That would be a very quick alliance. And so that's something from day one. I've been like, let's get more scenes with them. And we've had more of those season 2, which I'm grateful for, hoping that that continues. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I'd say.
Yeah, we're rooting for Akila's little pet too. Everyone's concerned.
I know.
So I do I know that you have a heart out, and I just wanted to say, now that we've seen this episode, I mean, it left a lot of fans crying, I'm sure. It was just so painful to see Shauna in that state of grief. What is next for these girls? How do they handle this grief? How does this grief change them? Because they've called it our baby.
Right. Well, I mean, God, these girls have been through so much trauma. There's already so much their bodies are processing. It's hard to imagine that another weight will be added to that, the weight of grief. But I will say that there are things alluded to in episode 3 that are going to come to fruition, I think, as a result of this grief in the next few episodes.
Okay, well, everyone is going to be scurrying back to watch episode 3 now.
Yeah. I want to say, I feel like I could say more, but I'll just leave it at that. There's some very serious clues about what's to come.
Okay, everybody, you heard it. Go rewatch episode 3. Well, Jasmin Savoy Brown, thank you so much for speaking with me for the Buzz on Yellow Jackets.
Thank you.